Well, good afternoon and welcome to the old shop. I'm going to try something a little bit different today because I want to give you a little tour of one of the rooms inside the cottage. And it's maybe quite an unusual room to be starting with, I suppose, but I decided I was going to show you the bathroom, which I know in most people's houses is really quite a private space, I suppose, compared to a room like the sitting room or the kitchen. But this is actually the room which I feel that I've made most how I'd like it to be. I mean, obviously it's not, well, I say obviously, but it's not perfect by any means. Certain things happened while the renovation was taking place that I perhaps wouldn't choose now, and I can see things I'd like to do to it. But the thing with it is, the reason I'd like to show you it today is because the few objects I've placed in here are all very meaningful, and I want to just tell you a little bit about the stories behind them. And I hope you'll be interested as well to hear a little bit more about them. There are just perhaps half a dozen things, if you like, in here, apart from the obvious practical things you have in the bathroom, and I'm really happy every time I look at them. They remind me of all sorts of things in the journey it's taken me to get to this point. So anyway, without any further messing around, let's get started. I'll just bring you in through the little doorway. It's quite a small doorway, and first of all I'll just give a little scan around the room. It's just a bathroom, you know. But having said that, when I had the renovation done, a tiny little window there, as you can see. Certain things were changed quite dramatically. So there's a very low sloping ceiling here. The lighting is quite nice actually. Now I won't put the lights on because it's nice low natural light, and it's a bit harsh with the lights on. We don't need them. Anyway, one of the things was there was no shower here when I came. This is the shower cubicle, because there wasn't space for one because of the sloping ceiling. So the only way I could get a shower in here was there was a doorway just here where you can see the shelf and tiles here. And there was a doorway from the bedroom down into the bathroom, which I suppose would have made it an ensuite, apart from the fact there's also a doorway in from the landing. But I had that locked in, and that left space for the shower cubicle. So I'd actually use this shower. I don't use the bath, but I thought it's a silly thing not to have a bath, because if your shower went wrong, or if somebody came to the house who needed a bath, or if I for some reason needed a bath, then it's there. And as you can see on the front of it, it's been clad, and those pieces of wood are actually the original floorboards, or a few of them, from the cottage which were taken out. Slightly controversially from my point of view. I don't know that they really needed to be, but I'm just not going back over all that. It's been done, done, and we are where we are, as I like to say many times. So anyway, without further ado, let's not worry about the actual bathroom equipment, and let's get on to the things I wanted to show you. So this mirror here, which actually is an old mirror, I think it belonged to my grandparents-in-law, as far as I know. Not that I ever met them, but I think it was one of their pieces of furniture. Above it, as you can see, there is something a bit strange, and it is a paper shoe, which I will get down to show you. There's another one across the room, which I'll also show you. I made these shoes. They were part of an art installation that I did. And without getting into the whole story of the installation, which I might do another time, it was to do with the constellation Lyra. And it was to do with, it took place on a Bronze Age burial mound, and I was wearing a white nightie, and I had a pair of scissors tied to me with silver thread, and all these shoes were tied to me as well. And I snipped them free, and I made the constellation of Lyra on this burial mound. And I will sort of perhaps tell you a bit more about that another time, because it might sound a little bit strange. But I kept some of the shoes, some of them I gave away, and some of them I've kept. So I've got a couple of them which remind me of this, I suppose you'd call it a performance really. It was called Bridge, and it was also to do with it was 7th of July, 7th day of the 7th month, is the Japanese Star Festival, when two lovers are said to, a princess and her swain, are said to be able to meet across the Milky Way, and the princess's star is within Lyra. And anyway, it was all to do with that, so it's a bit convoluted. So that's that. This lovely shelf, just a little shelf I bought quite a while ago elsewhere in Norfolk, in a place called Walsingham, and I wanted somewhere for it, and it's really perfect there to put my bits and pieces on. Anyway, we'll go around to some of the other, just a few things I have here, so I wanted to tell you about as well. So this, on here, you can see a book, and it's just a book of blank pages. And this book is actually really special to me. It's one of the things that really sparked my journey into art, actually, and I ended up spending 5 years studying art. I did a foundation course which was called Access, and then I did 3 years of my degree in printmaking and photo media, and then I did an MA in fine art, and that was really all sparked by going to really being a kind of groupie really for this pair of artists who did before I'd even thought really of going to art school, they did a tour of churches. There were churches which were redundant churches around as orbits of Norwich, and they both spent time in each of the churches. People could go and visit them if they wanted. I think I was the only person who visited them at every single one of the 7 churches over the time, and they just did whatever moved them. While they were there, they just spent time, watched the time go, really, watched the shadows, and just videoed that, made things time. It was all time based, and it was really inspirational to me. And one of the artists, who was called Judith Stewart, was making these blank books while she was there and leaving them in the churches. They were blank, but of course they weren't blank because they had in them the time and the experiences that they'd had in the church. Anyway, this one had been left in Cottage Church in Norfolk, and a long time afterwards it was just left in one of the niches. I think it was in the Piscina, which is where there's like a water, where the vessels were washed away in the church. And months later, went back to the church and I took it. I know, maybe I shouldn't have done, maybe I should, but it's very treasured to me. And so I think, I'll just show you the back of it where it's been tied like this. I just think it's absolutely beautiful, and it is just such a special thing for that reason, that it did really start my thought process of what art could be. And the art I love to do it's really quite I don't know what the word is, really akin to those ideas. Next to that, you can see here, this is a replica of a beaker, a Bronze Age beaker, and it's a replica of a beaker from East Yorkshire, one of the mounds. And again, too long a story really. I'm going to have to make sure I don't spend too long telling you about each thing. But it's my husband, late husband Trevor, he was an archaeologist, and he spent his earliest archaeology days out when he graduated in archaeology in York. He worked in East Yorkshire on digs, and he had a great love of the Bronze Age archaeology of East Yorkshire. He'd actually been involved in digging up quite a lot of it. And when he also had a fantastic, and I still have as a legacy actually, a fantastic old book with beautiful illustrations of finds from an old Victorian book with finds from barrows in Yorkshire, East Yorkshire. And this is a replica of one of those, and also on the windowsill we'll come round to is another one. And it was actually after he died, I happened upon someone who was making these replicas, and I asked her to, well, not necessarily from East Yorkshire, but of Bronze Age beakers, and I sent her photographs and asked her to make me, one, and she sent me 2 to choose from, and I couldn't choose, so I ended up with both of them. But they are so special, and I just enjoy looking at them every day. So that it's something which was really well worth it. And next to that, a couple of little beach finds. But I just love the colour of the whitey neutral colours just from the beach here, just down the road. And next to that is a ceramic fox, and he comes from Cornwall, where we used to go there every year to Cornwall. Trevor was Cornish, or his family were, and we used to like to go to the open studios, and there was a lovely ceramicist who made well, animals primarily. And one year we bought this fox from her, and again, very special to me. And I just love the way it sits on the shelf with the other things, the other slightly disparate things. And down below is another one of the shoes that I mentioned. And how I made these, I made them from paper, tissue paper, but I moulded them over old shoe lasts. And Norwich is very well known as a place where a shoe manufacturer in the past. That's all dwindled and died away now, but it used to be one of the things it was known for. And I like to think these shoe lasts I found at a car boot sale I had 3 of them. It was part of that heritage, local heritage. And I gave away most of the shoes actually, but I just kept a few. And I just, again, just very happy to have that to remind me of when I used to do these performances and installations in the landscape, ephemeral work, so I used to love to do, and do love to do. This little, I don't think it's Buddha, it's a kind of, I don't know, if I knew more about Indian culture I could tell you, but it's a spiritual figure. I think we can say it's a spiritual figure. And this used to sit on the shelf in my old house. Again, it was Trevor's, but I just think it's just got a lovely, new, calming presence on this ledge, and I just think it's found a lovely home here. And in front of it is a little round quartz pebble that I actually only found the other day, so I just thought it was a nice place for it. So this little, I don't know whether you call it a vignette. I'll just see if I can get it to focus. It's not really wanting to focus. It's evolving all the time. It's not focusing. Why is it not focusing on it? I don't know. But anyway, you've seen it. Oh, here it goes. Yes, so I'm really pleased with that. That little shelf niche thing was just in the bathroom. And I suppose people used to use it for their potions and things, but I'm not really using it for that. I've just thought it was a lovely, not many places in the cottage where you can put things really, because there's no mantelpiece. So that's my special place. And this, just in the corner of the bath, is a wooden figure, as Indian again. And this was mine. I took this with me when I moved into my last house, and it used to sit just inside the disused fireplace. So again, it's nice to have that here with me in the new place, or the place which is where I'm hoping to put down some roots. Then we just move around. That's this little cabinet. Haven't had this little cabinet all that long. It's got a really strong smell of antiseptic inside, so I bought it really cheaply because the seller couldn't get rid of the smell. But I've left it outside for quite a long time and brought it in, and I was going to paint it, but I just like it looking like it does really, so it's going to stay like that. It's really useful for medicines and so on. And on top are 2 deer, wooden deer, and they came from a charity shop not so long ago. Absolutely love those. They were sitting looking out of the window at Heath, where there are lots of deer in the distance, but I quite like them sitting on there actually, and they seem quite at home there, so that's where they are at the moment, and that's part of the life here. And we'll go down. Now the downside here is that this little window faces over next door neighbour's garden, which is not obviously ideal. I may end up putting something across it, but because the room's quite dark, I don't really want curtains or anything. I might try and make a little screen or something like that you could put up or take down, but at the moment I'm quite at ease with it. See the washing out there. If you look out of the window, you can see it looks over the neighbour, then it looks over another neighbour, but beyond that, I don't suppose you can see, but beyond that, that's the sunset over there, and you've got the stream and the heath. The heath is just as far as you can see over there where the trees are. So it's really not far away, and it's beautiful when the sun sets. And we'll just come backwards from that. I put a little rug down in front of it here, so you could sit on the floor and look at the sunset, was the idea. And there's the other one of the beakers. I'll just come down on the level with it so you can see it. I think it's fairly silhouetted, but it's a different shape from the other one, which is why I couldn't choose between them. And the string around it is just an idea, really, that we don't know how the beakers were covered. Where they were used for, they would have had, some of them had cremated remains in them, and we don't know whether they had a cover on them. They might have had a textile cover, and if they did, then that wouldn't survive. So that's why we don't know really how they were covered with. If they had a textile cover, maybe leather or cloth, then perhaps it was tied down with something else organic, like a rope, like this is made of. I'm not sure what this is made of. Maybe hemp or seagrass, but they would have had access to some strong fibres they could have used for that. So that's just an idea, we don't know. But we certainly know what the patterns on the beakers, because there's enough beaker remaining for that and the shapes to be known. And I think that's it really. I don't think there's much more I want to show you in here. Just a bathroom when all's said and done. But it's a room that I feel it's very calm, very happy. I'm very happy here, and I hope you've enjoyed having a look at it as well. So I'll say goodbye, and I hope you'll join me again for the next video. It may well be one which is a bit more adventurous outside, or it might be showing you something that's some work that I'm doing in the house here or in the garden. But so until next time, I'll say I hope you have a lovely evening, and goodbye.